Close your eyes. Forget everything you think you know about love, marriage, and desire. Picture a world where loyalty was a political currency, where intimacy was a display of power, and where the boundaries of affection shattered all modern expectations. What if I told you that in the heart of the greatest empire the world has ever seen, ancient Rome, fidelity was a myth, infidelity was a norm, and pleasure knew no gender? What if the most powerful men in history openly pursued relationships that would today ignite outrage and scandal, all while their wives stood by, complicit or powerless? This is not the sanitized history of toga-clad senators. This is the raw, unsettling truth of Roman desire. Prepare to challenge every preconceived notion, to glimpse a society where power, not passion, dictated the contours of love. This is the hidden fabric of ancient Roman life, a tapestry woven with threads of pragmatism, pleasure, and profound, unsettling paradox. If you dare to question the past with us, hit that like button, subscribe to our channel right now, and join the legion of truth seekers. You won't believe what history has kept hidden. In the captivating world of ancient Rome, the institution of marriage bore little resemblance to our contemporary ideals of romantic partnership or lifelong devotion. Far from a bond forged in love, Roman matrimony was, at its core, a pragmatic instrument, a strategic business arrangement, or more often, a powerful alliance forged between influential families. Its primary purpose was not emotional fulfillment, but the consolidation of wealth, the transfer of property, and, crucially, the production of legitimate heirs to secure lineage and social standing. Love, while it might sometimes develop, was rarely the foundation, and certainly not a prerequisite. Perhaps most startling to the modern mind was the casual acceptance of marital infidelity, at least for the husband. Affairs were not clandestine, shameful secrets hidden in the shadows. For Roman men, particularly among the elite, extramarital relations were surprisingly common, even openly acknowledged. It was entirely normal, often expected, for men to engage in casual liaisons with courtesans, or even to maintain long-term mistresses outside the marital bond. But the complexities of Roman desire didn't end there. Roman men frequently engaged in romantic or sexual relationships with other men too, and this, astonishingly, was considered a regular, if nuanced, part of life woven into the very fabric of society. To truly comprehend the Roman psyche concerning love and desire, we must shed the restrictive labels and assumptions of our own time and adopt their unique perspective, where marriage, power, and pleasure were inextricably linked. Ancient Romans did not categorize sexual identity with the rigid labels we apply today: gay, straight, bisexual. Such classifications were largely irrelevant to their worldview. Instead, their focus gravitated fiercely towards the dynamics of control and dominance within a relationship, rather than the gender of the participants. In a typical male-female interaction, the man was almost universally expected to embody the dominant, active, penetrative role, the giver. The woman, conversely, was cast as the receptive, submissive partner, the receiver. This wasn't merely about physical acts, it was a profound social statement, a theatrical display of one's inherent power and societal status. When two men were involved, however, the dynamic became far more intricate, more socially charged. One of them, inevitably, had to assume the receiver role, which Romans, especially within the context of adult-to-adult relationships, often associated with a more feminine, submissive posture. This position, when taken by an adult citizen male, could indeed carry a significant social stigma, implying a lack of manliness or a deviation from societal expectations of masculine dominance. Yet, this stigma was fluid, often diminishing or entirely absent if the younger partner was still a teenager or of lower social status, like a slave or a courtesan. This is a point of constant debate in online historical communities, especially on platforms like Reddit, where modern interpretations clash with ancient realities. How much was truly accepted versus merely tolerated? One well-known and institutionally recognized form of same-sex relationship was known as paedastry. In this complex arrangement, an older, often established man, the Erastes, would form a bond with a teenage boy, the Eromenos. But this was rarely, if ever, solely about romance or physical intimacy. These relationships frequently encompassed a crucial element of mentorship, providing the younger partner with invaluable guidance, education, and perhaps most importantly, for social climbers, significant assistance with societal advancement. These were conduits to power and influence. Back then, substantial age differences in such relationships were not considered shocking or predatory in the way they are today. Especially among the wealthy and powerful elite, it was often viewed as a normal, even expected, part of a young man's journey into adulthood, offering him critical connections and a legitimate pathway into the cutthroat world of politics and influence. Even among Rome's most powerful men, the emperors, the conquering generals, the formidable politicians, it was completely commonplace to maintain both male and female lovers, often simultaneously, without social censure. What truly surprises many is that this widespread practice was not perceived as cheating in the modern sense. The concept of exclusive sexual fidelity within marriage, particularly for men, was largely foreign. The marriage was for heirs and alliances. Personal pleasure often lay outside its bounds. Furthermore, in an age devoid of reliable birth control and with childbirth being one of the most perilous experiences a woman could endure, a husband's affairs outside the marriage, particularly with other men, were sometimes seen, bizarrely, as a practical means to avoid putting his wife's life at further risk. A strange, ancient form of practical risk management in a brutal world. In these same-sex relationships, the person wielding more power, like an emperor or a senator, was almost invariably expected to assume the dominant, masculine role. This performance of dominance was crucial. It was a powerful display of their strength, authority, and virility. However, Roman society, despite its rigid expectations, didn't always follow its own rules. Sometimes, even the most powerful men veered from these norms, creating ripples of confusion and scandal. Believe it or not, Julius Caesar, one of the most famous and commanding leaders in Roman history, was widely rumored and even satirized for enjoying being the more submissive partner in his same-sex relationships. This shocked many at the time, leaving Romans gossiping and confused because it fundamentally clashed with the image of a strong, commanding, traditionally masculine ruler. His defiance of this social norm made him a subject of both awe and derision. Emperor Hadrian, a ruler renowned for his intellectual curiosity and extensive travels across the empire, stands as a fascinating deviation from typical Roman marital norms. Although he was married to a woman, Sabina, primarily for political reasons and dynastic duty, historical accounts strongly suggest he had no genuine romantic or physical interest in her. Many historians believe their union was entirely unconsummated. This idea stems from the fact that both Hadrian and Sabina maintained numerous lovers of their own, and Hadrian conspicuously lavished most of his affection and attention on men. One young man, in particular, captivated Hadrian's heart, a beautiful and intelligent teenage boy named Antinous. Hadrian adored him, showering him with privileges and a meticulous education, The two traveled extensively together across the vast Roman Empire, their close bond openly acknowledged. But their profound connection ended in sudden, unbearable tragedy. While they were in Egypt, Antinous mysteriously drowned in the Nile River, the exact circumstances of his death remaining shrouded in historical debate to this day. Heartbroken and consumed by grief, Hadrian took extreme, unprecedented steps to honor him. He founded an entire city near the place where Antinous died, naming it Antinopolis. He even had Antinous' body mummified and brought back to Rome. Hadrian went as far as having countless coins made with Antinous' idealized face, and most remarkably, declared him a god. The worship of Antinous spread throughout the empire, a testament to Hadrian's enduring, desperate love and a rare glimpse into the emperor's personal anguish. Hadrian wasn't the only emperor with unusual love stories that pushed societal boundaries. Emperor Nero also engaged in romantic relationships with men, but his notorious behavior managed to shock even the often liberal Romans. While most emperors chose their male lovers from palace slaves and still treated them as subordinates, Nero's conduct was radically different and far more theatrical. In one shocking instance, he held a full public wedding ceremony, complete with a dowry and traditional rituals, marrying a former slave named Pythagoras. But it was Nero's role in the ceremony that scandalized the public. He played the part of the bride, wearing a veil and all, while Pythagoras was the groom. This profoundly confused the Roman populace, as Nero, as emperor, was absolutely expected to take the dominant masculine role. It was a blatant subversion of social norms that even Rome struggled to comprehend. Later, Nero married another young male slave named Sporus. This time, perhaps seeking to appease public opinion or indulge a different fantasy, he took on the masculine role himself, demonstrating how even emperors, despite their absolute power, sometimes had to balance their personal desires with public expectations, though often in the most extreme ways. However, some of Emperor Nero's actions would be deeply disturbing by today's standards and even by many Roman sensibilities. In one truly shocking case, designed to ensure the public saw him as the dominant masculine figure in his relationship with the boy Sporus, Nero had the boy castrated, a cruel, barbaric act done purely for image and control, a horrifying assertion of power over another's body and identity. There are other examples of Nero being harsh or abusive toward his lovers, but the line between historical fact and sensationalized rumor is often blurred by biased ancient historians. The most shocking and enduring claim about Emperor Nero is the ancient assertion that he committed incest with his mother, Agrippina the Younger. This allegation appears primarily in the highly critical works of the historian Suetonius, The Lives of the Caesars, and, more cautiously, in Tacitus's Annals. Both suggest Agrippina initiated the relationship to maintain absolute control over Nero after he became emperor, a desperate bid for power. While the incest allegation remains a notorious part of Nero's dark legend, it is almost universally regarded by credible modern historians as a vicious, politically motivated fabrication. It represents a potent example of how political enemies in ancient Rome mercilessly used sexual slander, the most shocking taboo, to destroy reputations, even posthumously. It's a fascinating, if disturbing, insight into the weaponization of gossip. But while Nero's behavior pushed the boundaries of Roman acceptance, another emperor, Tiberius, is remembered even more darkly, especially for how he relentlessly abused his power over the young people around him. Tiberius is often described as one of the worst offenders when it came to exploiting his authority over his lovers. He developed a strong and disturbing interest in much younger boys, and the way he treated them has led many historians to brand him one of the most sexually corrupt and predatory emperors in Roman history. Much of this depravity happened far from the public eye. Tiberius spent many of his later years in luxurious, secluded villas on islands in the Mediterranean, most famously the island of Capri. He had boys brought there, ostensibly as servants, but numerous ancient reports suggest they were also used to satisfy his increasingly perverse and cruel sexual desires. It's crucial to note that some of the stories about Tiberius are likely exaggerated. Roman historians, particularly those writing after an emperor's death, often added shocking, lurid details to make their subjects look worse, using salacious gossip as a political weapon. However, even if only a fraction of these accounts are true, they paint a deeply disturbing picture of how absolute, unchecked power could be horrifically abused in the Roman Empire, leading to profound moral decay and profound human suffering. The unchecked desires of the powerful, unrestrained by law or custom, could lead to unimaginable acts. So, what does this journey into the complex, often unsettling world of Roman desire tell us? We've seen a society where relationships were fluid, deeply entwined with power, and where modern labels simply didn't apply. Infidelity for men was often accepted. Same-sex relationships were common, though with strict rules about dominance and submission that could create scandal if broken, as with Julius Caesar. Emperors like Hadrian loved deeply, even across gender lines, defying convention in their devotion. Others, like Nero and Tiberius, used their supreme power to indulge desires that, even by Roman standards, crossed into disturbing cruelty and abuse. The debates continue in academic circles and online communities alike. How much was true acceptance versus pragmatic tolerance? To what extent did power truly corrupt? And how do we, as modern observers, reconcile our values with a past so utterly alien to our own? The Roman understanding of desire was a mirror reflecting their entire social structure, hierarchical, pragmatic, and utterly ruthless when it came to maintaining control. It reminds us that history is rarely as simple as our textbooks make it out to be. It is a nuanced, often uncomfortable reflection of humanity's endless complexities. If this deep dive into the shocking realities of Roman desire challenged your perceptions, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel for more raw, unvarnished historical truths, and share this video with friends who dare to question the past. What other historical taboos should we unravel next? Leave your thoughts and theories in the comments below. We're always listening.